Hey guys, now I'm going to go through your expense forecasts for your staff and your staff related costs. This should be a relatively easy one to follow and understand because we're talking about people here, right? There's not too many crazy assumptions to get through. So at the top, we've got a little guide, and then we have a summary per year of your total cost by category and by your headcount. And then you can see on a monthly basis what the total costs are and how your headcount progresses. Here we'll see that we have a separate calculation for when bonuses are actually going to be paid. But in here, the bonus amount's included. And that's because in your P&L, you want to accrue for your bonuses. So let's open up your staff assumptions and your related costs. So the way this works is we've got your assumptions, and then all the calculations are just done for you. There's nothing to touch in any of these black formula cells. So the first thing you can do is you can type in the role of someone. So we've got the CEO, CEO, CFO. Maybe you don't have a business analyst. You want to have, secretary. You can just type in secretary. Done. And what her name is, Jane. Simples. Now, for the CEO, what date have you started? So you type in the actual date people are starting. So if it's before the forecast is going to start, it just assumes that these are existing people. They're not new people that are being added on. So what is the actual start date of all your customers, of all your employees, including yourselves? And if you terminate someone, you just type in that date and they stop getting paid. Now, what is the salary everyone is getting? So for this, don't include the bonus amount, don't include your payrolls and taxes. Your payrolls and taxes are included here. So just put in the annual salary that they're getting paid. If they're being paid a bonus, what percentage per year are they getting paid? So we'll assume that the CEO, CFO, COO, or founders, they don't get a bonus, but other people get 20%. Now, you're going to pay people low salaries, and there'll be a point of time when you want to increase that. Maybe post your Series A when you can afford everyone to have a half decent one. So let's say we want to deal with the CEO. So you type in the starting date from when you actually joined. There's no ending date because it hasn't been terminated. And his salary will be $60,000. That's the basic amount, which excludes everything else on an annual basis. Doesn't get paid a bonus. And there'll be a point of time in the future when you want to increase that, say after your Series A. And at that point, you'll say the CEO can be paid $90,000, and that date is June 18th. So let's say that your Series A gets done in May, you can afford to start increasing that. You can do the same thing for everyone else. Are they getting an increase or not? Now, we see here we've typed in that there's an increase in salary, but there's not a date. That's not good. To make this work, you need to have both of these formulas filled in. And if you accidentally typed one in, then you just delete both of them and they're not there anymore. Now, all the formulas are super dynamic. So if you typed this in wrong and you assumed that your CEO also started the same date, see, they're now getting paid, whereas before they weren't. Everything is super dynamic using nice long formulas. So the flexibility you get in here is the start date and the termination date, what their salary is, the bonus, and then the salary increase and the date that they get a salary increase. For your payroll and taxes, assuming it's the same for everyone, just type in what percentage of that is. If you're not giving any benefits, if you don't have any payroll tax, just put in 0 and it's all gone. Otherwise, type in that number and it'll go through and filter for everyone. So these are all broken up into sections. We've got a G&A, our R&D, our sales and marketing, and our COGS. The format is exactly the same for everyone, but there are some little variances to try and make life a bit easier for you. We'll look at the first one, which is recruiters. So if you're going to scale fast, you need to hire recruiters, right? So at a certain point where you're hiring lots of people, you need to hire a recruiter or maybe multiple recruiters. So to figure that out, you would type in what is the average cost of your recruiters? $38,000. What is the bonus that you can be paying these people? 20% of their salary? Cool. Now, we said that we need to hire recruiters when you hire lots of people. So what is that number? Is it 1, 2, 10? Here we've assumed 5. So we'll see if we put this number down, the number of recruiters that you have or you need goes up. And so here is your salary number. If we increase that up, then the number of recruiters you need goes down. This here calculates your headcount for people and your total amount of salaries. And it includes your recruiters, which is done through a smart little formula. You don't need to touch any of these formulas. Just put in your assumptions and it'll all filter through. But look at these numbers and make sure that they make sense. Looking at the next section, the R&D, again, type in all your start, end date, salary, bonus, etc. There's no difference here, but in case you are going to hire lots of developers over time, click this group and you can add more roles. If you're not, just hide that up so you got better use of space. Now for your COGS and S&M, we've done some automated assumptions on your hires so that your business model will scale up and down depending on how fast you grow. So if you start increasing your marketing costs, that will mean that you'll onboard more customers, you need more customer care people. And if you start doing more channel sales with more leads, you need more channel sales people to manage those. Rather than you having to go into the staff sheet and fiddle these to scale every time you change your assumption, we've just put these into different sheets. So for your channel sales people, all you need to do is type in what the average salary is for your channel sales guys and how much bonus they get. Do they have an increase of salary over time or not? And that's it. These link just below here where you can see the number of channel sales people that you have. And this calculates your accrued bonus. The channel sales takes how many channel sales guys you have and multiplies by their salary and adds it in directly in line. And your headcount number will just add that up and include it into the count function. Now the same logic is applied on your COGS. For your customer care staff, your customer success staff, internal engineering, and your professional services staff. So you just type in salary and the bonus, what the increase will be over time if there is one. And these all just link here so you can track exactly what's happening. And these link to your expense calcs, so you can see where they're being linked to and from. And all the accrued bonus is automatically calculated for everyone. Cool, so that's how you fill in your staff sheet. So if you want to do this really quickly, I would copy and paste the titles and the names of all your staff into the blocks. And if you've got a sheet, copy and paste their start date, what their salary is, what their bonus is, and then think what, if any, salary increase we offer your staff. What is the payroll and taxes, and just populate the blocks. And then look at those numbers and make sure it makes sense over time. So if you as a CEO want to get a pay increase over time, when can you afford to actually do that or not? Once you fill that all in, look at your total salaries and bonuses, or look at the summaries and think, does this match up with my burn? Does this make sense? If it doesn't, then you want to revise that your forecast downwards or maybe upwards. We'll see here I've added in this helpfully align to show you from the P&L forecast when you actually are going to raise money. So we're going to raise 1.2 in May, and we're going to raise 6 million in May 2018. So that means we can start affording to hire more people, right? So you can see a lot of additions are starting to be made after this month. It's because you can have more money to do it. So look at your raises, change them if necessary, and make sure that these all line up and fundamentally just make sense. Now that's how you're going to forecast all your staff people. It's relatively easy. It's just a little bit boring, but there's actually no complicated things that you need to do at all. What we're going to do is figure out your staff related costs. Now we have our office costs, onboarding and travel, and then various others. So if your office, this is going to be things like your stationery, pens, paper, phone, all the general things that people will be consuming in your office. So we'll say on average, for our G&A people, they spend about $80 a month per person. R&D the same, but sales and marketing people need to have extra coloring and pencils and crayons, so they're going to spend an extra $20 more than everyone else on a monthly basis. As you become bigger and you raise more money, maybe people start becoming more wasteful or want to be able to spend more money, so we can increase that cost. If you don't want to, you can just delete that and there's no increase in cost. But this is all related to the number of headcount you have. For onboarding, this is a CapEx cost, which doesn't come in your P&L. It comes out of your operating cash flow. So every time you hire someone, you need to give them the things that they need to work and maybe some swag. So a laptop, a desktop, chairs, all the basic things that every person needs physically to do their job. So how much does that cost on average? So you could say, well, generally people don't need super duper computers, so it's about $4K for G&A, but the developers need something a bit more fancy with some more RAM and hard drive space, and so they're on $5K a month. Then S&M and COGS, the average cost for them is about $4, which can increase over time. Now for travel, how much are people doing traveling? You could say at the start, your G&A guys are not traveling too much, but when you've got more money, they'll be doing lots of trips around, doing some biz dev deals, as maybe your sales and marketing people might be, and so that can increase over time. So how much people are spending on travel? So there you go, that's the 3 blocks. These get added up by multiplying your costs by the types of category of people and summed up. Now we have our various other costs. So obviously one of the big key costs you're going to have is your rent and utilities. So rather than trying to figure out what the cost of your office is going to be, your square foots, and how that's going to impact you on shifting around, it's much easier just to assume it's going to cost you on average $100 to $500 to $1,000 per person. And then if you have to move office, etc., you don't have to think about that now in the model. You just assume an average sort of cost for it. And so if you start hiring lots more people, then you're going to have a more expensive office. And if you want, you can say that's going to increase over time when you get maybe a swanky office because you can afford it. Now, what are your service costs, such as your lawyers, accountants, auditors? We put this as a monthly number. You can think about it as an annual one and then work your way backwards. But we multiply a dollar amount of, say, $200 by all your G&A staff to get to what your total monthly spend is going to be for that. Do the same thing for entertainment. I put this under the sales and marketing budget on the assumption that they're the ones who will be taking clients out. If you're not going to be doing that, just put in 0. And there are no more entertainment costs. No one's having any more fun with clients. For your general marketing collateral, this is sort of a catch-all. So any other little marketing related costs which are not directly linked to paid, like Facebook and SEM advertising, just put in a little catch-all number here which goes into your sales and marketing for an additional cost that you have. Again, if you don't want it, put in 0, it's gone. The next one can really be used for pretty much anything you want. I've inserted incorporation setup, which is assumptions there'll be legal or random costs that are going to happen as you're building a business. There's actually no dynamic links here, so just type in a number that you want to have in here, or even just change this to something else. I mean, it could be, bananas, for whatever the hell you want, and copy that across. And now you've got a budget for bananas, which is bananas. Same thing is for recruiters. If you're never going to use recruiters, you can change this to something else. You can just type in whatever you want. There's no formulas here. And then we have another catch-all, which is other costs of percentage of salaries. You are never going to properly forecast these numbers properly and think about everything. So you want to have a bit of a slush fund. I mean, you didn't think about beers on Friday for the staff, right? So just put in a little catch-all here to make sure you cover those costs and that you don't run over spend. So you can put this as a percentage of your total G&A salaries. So 5-6% times by G&A salaries, and boom, there's a slush fund. If you have your own office, maybe you want to refurbish it every year, type in a number, to upgrade things. This is another CapEx number. And we just add all this stuff up here, here, and here. And that gives you your absolute total cost for everyone. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to get on to a slightly abstract concept here. Bonuses. Now, in these staffs here, we include our bonus in all these calculations. Okay, that will go in nice cleanly in your P&L. But your P&L is effectively an accounting notion. It's not really any value to anyone other than accountants and stuff. What you really care about is the cash effect on your business. Like, when are you getting money in and when do you need to pay it? So you're putting in your revenue as an accrual, but you don't pay bonuses every month, right? You might do it for sales guys, but in this model, we're not making assumptions of sales like you have more of an enterprise sales model. You pay annually at your year end, say December. So you are not going to have to pay that amount out every month. You're just going to do it annually. So under each section, we are calculating your accruals. So for each section, we will be calculating the accrued amount of bonus for each section, which basically reverse engineers the salary including bonuses and strips out the bonus part here. Okay, we do that for each section. It's sort of grouped up and hidden because you don't really care about it and it's a bit distracting, but all these numbers get added up into your total accrued bonus on a monthly basis. And then, whoa, look, here we go. There's a big number here. What's that? That's your year-end payout. So we set in our assumptions in the first sheet with the formatting one that your year-end is in December, month 12. Okay. So now on a staff sheet in month 12, December, this is taking the total summary and we'll be making a cash deduction in your operating cash flow. We can say here 12 months later, that is the total bonus amount. And that just slots in, no calculations for you to do again, nice and simply. So you get both your P&L and your operating cash flow calculations done without any real work. Now down here, if you want to see what's going down in Funky Town, we can see a load of charts and see the things that make sense. Now we'll see here that there's a big increase. Why is that? Well, that's because we've just raised our fundraising round here, which means we're going to start hiring people, right? So we're going to see a big increase in your number of people and your headcount over time because of that. So look at these graphs and this will give you sort of feedback as to did your assumptions make sense or not. So really simple, input your payroll tax and benefits, starting date, if you're going to planning on terminating someone in the future, the salary, the bonus, if you're going to increase the salary or decrease that, the assumption on when you need to require recruiters, fill in it for the R&D, again the same thing for S&M, and then just add in the average channel sales amount you're going to be paying your staff. If it's 0, just put in 0 because you're not using channel sales. Do the same thing for COGS, including your customer care, customer success, internal engineering, professional services staff. If you have no professional services staff, again, just put in 0. It doesn't happen anymore. Fill in your office onboarding, travel staff costs, then add in your various costs here, and you're all good to go. So that's all your expenses pretty much planned out, mapped, and will be integratable into your P&L and your operating cash flows. Simples.